Stop carrying burdens that you have no business carrying, especially firstborns. Don't do it. It's not worth it. We tend to have this burden that we are almost born with to carry more than we should. And we think we are going to be the ones that will save the family. We think we're going to be the ones that will rescue everybody. No, you won't. And you think if you're not present, nothing is going to go on. And you think if you don't do anything about it, nothing is going to happen. You almost become a parent. You take on roles you're not supposed to take. I'm talking this from experience because I'm the firstborn and I've never felt young in my entire life. I've always felt like an adult when I was even from a young age. But what is interesting is that this is common to all firstborns. It's very common. We are grown up. We want to get things done. We want to be the bosses. We want to be the ones to solve the problems because we got it, because we are strong, because we are the bigger person, okay? And we are trained to be that way, which is not wrong. But I met a guy who is an engineer. He's a young man. He's an engineer. He's in his early 20s. And after he graduated, he went straight to start working for his parents in his parents' business, obviously, because he's the firstborn, he's the most responsible among all the siblings. He is the manager, but that role has covered up every area of his life. He has to perform, he has to outperform, he has to do it right, because we firstborns tend to be perfectionists sometimes. He cannot be an engineer anymore. And when I talked with him, I could see how anxious and how his whole life is rotating around trying to impress his parents. I was like, my goodness, that story sounds familiar. He literally has not practiced his engineering career because he has to make sure his parents' business works. That's not a bad thing, right? That's good, because your family is supposed to thrive, because the family business is supposed to be successful. You're supposed to make money. You're supposed to hold the legacy and make it work. It's good. It's very good. But how about you? How about your life? How about your own future? Right now, you're trying to make your parents' dreams come true. And you know that if you don't help them, it's not going to work out. It won't work out. You're sure about it. You think if you don't go there and make it work, you put your own life on hold to make sure you make your parents proud, to make sure the family business, does not go bankrupt. You get this and you're doing a good job, but you're exhausted. You become exhausted. You become tired. And many people, by the time they wake up from that, it's late. We snap out of it in our 30s. That story that I told you of a young man who is an engineer, who is now putting all his might, his energy in his parents' business, is a story of many people, because I was also like that. I used to think that if I don't get things done, the family is not going to work out. I used to think that if I don't step up and do things, if I don't, overcompensate, if I don't give up my dreams and make sure everything works, nothing is going to work. I used to carry a burden that was too heavy. It wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. Until I was in my 30s and I realized I had given up my life subconsciously to make everyone's life work. I've seen this in my own life. I've seen this in my siblings' lives. I've seen this in many other people's lives. People or siblings or children most times carry the guilt especially if your parents are narcissistic. We carry the guilt of wanting to make things work. I come from the African society where our parents are not afraid of guilt trapping us, of making us think we have to pay them for being our parents. So they talk to you in a way that will make you feel bad. Oh, you're leaving me. Oh, I worked for you. I did everything for you. Now you're grown up. It's time for you to pay me back. What have you done for me? I listened to that narrative for too long and it got stuck in my head. Every time I wanted to snap out and go out and do something for myself, that narrative kept ringing in my head, because some parents are so good at guilt trapping you. They're gonna pump that narrative into your head that you're a bad person because you didn't help them out, because you're now trying to go out there and do your own thing. So you become guilty. So you become trapped right there. You can't leave, because you know that if you leave, things will not work out in the family. You're the bad child, so you stay stuck there. You stay stuck there, depressed. Other people, your friends, people that you went to school with, they're out there, they're doing that thing because their parents are probably not guilt trapping them, or they're not the firstborn, or they're brave enough to come out of that bondage. So you're there, and years go by. Before you know it, you're in your 30s and you never did anything for yourself. And then the same people, your own parents that you used to work for, they're now asking you, what have you done with your life? You have a degree, you didn't use it. I took you to school, but you didn't do anything with the degree. But yet you know very well that you wanted to make them proud by making sure things are working out in their business, in their family business. We usually call it family business because it's our parents' business, but we know very well it's not family business. Most time it's not. Just because it's your parents' business does not make it family business. And then when it's time for you to, because we do those things thinking that we're going to be paid well, we're going to be compensated. And when it's time for you to be compensated, you don't get compensated the way you want to. You gave up your time, you didn't have fun, you didn't have experience. You wake up and it's almost too late, though it's not usually too late. But I want to let you know that if you're going through that, if you're still young, if you're still in your 20s, okay, in your 30s or 40s, and you're still a pick-me and you're still giving yourself, thinking that if I don't do this for my family, if I don't do this for my parents, their lives are going to be destroyed. You're lying. Give it up. Because you will regret it, and the longer you do it, the worse it's going to become for you, because you will have less time for your own life and you will become more bitter. You will become bitter, I promise you. It's going to take you time to get the courage, to get the strength to finally say that I'm out of here. And the resentment that is going to come with that is amazing. It is crazy. Your parents, because they trained you to stay there and be dependent on them and literally cut for you pieces of cake instead of you baking your own cake. When you finally show them that, you know what, you're giving me pieces of cake, I want to have a bakery by myself and bake my own cakes every day, they're going to be resentful. Everyone is going to look at you like you betrayed. You're betraying the family. But deep down, you will know that you're not betraying them. You love your family. But it's time for you to stand up and go and start your own life. But no one will understand it. They'll think you're a bad child. But you know that you're not a bad child. Don't be guilty. Don't be guilty. If it's time for you to finally come out of that, let it go. Get the courage. It's gonna take time. It's a big transition because you're deconstructing your mindset. You're coming out of the cages. It's like bondage. You're coming out of the chains. You don't know what's out there. You've never been free to be yourself, and now you're an adult. You have to do the things that you missed out on doing from the time you were 20, from the time you were a child, and now you're grown up. You have to catch up with many people that thought you had made it because you used to be the manager. Now you have to go in the workplace and be at the bottom of the employees. You don't know how it feels not to be a boss. You used to be a boss in your parents' business, a boss in quote, but now you have to work under somebody. You used to think you own you used to think you own that business because you thought, oh, it's family business, but it's not yours. Now you have to start from scratch. It's gonna be rough. It is a rough transition. If you're currently going through that stage, it is rough. You're gonna feel rejected, but it's okay. You will snap out of it. You're strong. Because you've seen what's behind there, you will not go back. I've been through that time where I finally stood my ground and I told myself, you know what, it's time for me to go out there and live my own life. Because for the longest time in my life, from the time I'm now in my 30s, from the time I was in my 20s, from the time I was a young girl, I wanted to make my parents proud. Everything I did, all my dreams, I wanted to make it in life in order to make my parents proud. I wanted to do everything for them. I could literally pick this whole world and give it to them until I did not make it, until I became a failure, until things didn't work out for me. And I was ashamed. The one they used to be proud of, they stopped being proud. They started looking at me funny, and then that's when I realized, wait a minute, I've never done anything for myself. I've never done anything for my future. And that's when I started to do things my way. I started to deconstruct all the narrative that I have to make everyone proud in my family. And I started to put myself first. And I stopped doing things the way I was trained to do them, wanting to rescue everyone in the family. I let go of the burdens. I stopped carrying that big burden of making everyone proud, and the freedom that comes with that. But the warfare is so strong. You will feel like everyone will look at you funny. They're gonna look at you funny. Everyone will look at you funny. Everyone looked at me funny. But the more I stood my ground, the more I stayed grounded, and the more I stay grounded is the more freedom I have. It is worth it. It is so good. So if you're currently going through that, or if you know someone going through it, you can share this message with them because it's worth it. You need to know that if you're doing that, you're not the only one doing it. A lot of people fall into that trap of wanting to carry the burden. We carry that burden of wanting to make our family proud, of wanting to pay back our parents. Let me tell you something, we don't have to pay anything to our parents. We have to honor our parents. We have to respect them, pray for them, but we are not supposed to. It's not our obligation to look after them. It sounds bad if you've not been brought up like that. I've never read any scripture in the Bible where children are supposed to look after their parents. Of course, you're supposed to obey them, you're supposed to do the housework, but it's not your responsibility to pay them for being your parent. I'm not saying you dishonor them. I'm saying it's your responsibility to honor them, respect them, do your part as a child, but at a point where you're grown up and it's time for you to move out of your parents' house, don't feel guilty. You can support them, you can give them, you can support them financially, but don't think that it's oh, I have to do this, it's a must. No. Do you get the difference? I'm not saying you dishonor your parents. I'm saying be brave enough to stop being dependent on that wrong narrative that you have to pay back, that you have to make them proud. Be a good child, but you have to also work for your children. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. If you're not working now for your children and you're working backwards, I'm not saying looking after your parents is bad, but you have to balance the equation. You have to leave an inheritance for your children's children, but now you're working backwards. You're leaving an inheritance for your parents first. It means some of those children's children, your grandchildren, you may ignore one of them. Do you get what I'm saying? We need a lot of deconstructing, but experience is the best teacher. If I had never gone through this, if I had never seen this, I would never understand. If I met someone talking like this, I would think, oh, this is a bad person, she's a bad girl, what is she saying? But if you can relate to this message, let me know in the comments. Have you ever been in such narrative that if you don't carry that burden of making your parents proud, of doing everything for them, then nothing is gonna work? Okay, if you found this video interesting, I'm gonna make a playlist of other inspiring and motivating videos I've done before. I'll see you in the next video. Be blessed.